We're staying in our metal plate underscore 002.dwg file. And in the previous video, we created an annotative dimension style. Now you can tell it's annotative because it's got that little blue symbol there. So training anno is annotative because it's got that little blue symbol. Now, an annotative dimension style allows you to scale using an annotation scale in your model space, and then you align that with your viewports in your layout tabs. So jump to your plan view layout tab, hover over that viewport there, and can you see it's letting you know that the standard scale is 1:2. So we know that any annotative dimensions should be using an annotation scale of 1:2. Let's have a look at the sections and elevations layout tab, hover over the viewport again, and again 1:2. So we need an annotation scale in the model tab when we're placing these annotative dimension objects of 1:2. Let's jump back to the model tab. Now we're going to look at the section view and the side view. Let's jump in here first and make sure you're on the dimensions layer, which you are, and then I'm going to unpin the annotation panel like that. I'm going to go to the annotate tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to start utilizing my dimensions panel here. I've got more control over my dimensional tools here. Now, one of the really cool ones is this one here, dim layer override. I can override any existing current layer and all my dimensions go on the dimensions layer. Now, at the moment, if I go to the Home tab, the dimensions layer is current anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if I'd forgotten to change the layer there, and in Annotate here, I'd set the dim layer override to dimensions, it would put my dimensions on the correct layer for me. So we need to come down to the status bar. At the moment, our annotation scale there, you'll notice, is 1:1. Click on the flyout arrow, set that to 1:2 to match your viewports in your layout tab. We're then going to place some linear dimensions. So in the dimensions panel, click on this flyout here, click on linear. And make sure that you're utilizing your object snaps to dimension accurately. So endpoint there, left click, probably be an intersection or an endpoint. No, it's an endpoint. And there's a 125 dimension. Just drag upwards a bit. That third click places the dimension. Now, the good thing is I can right click, repeat dim linear there, and I can utilize that right click because I'm doing all the same dimensions. And another little trick, line up on that arrowhead there and get the endpoint snap, and then they all align as well. Right click, repeat dim linear, and we'll go from there to the endpoint there, and then the endpoint on the arrowhead just there. So there's some dimensions in place. Now the reason I've placed those dimensions is we're dimensioning from the edge to the edge of the slotted hole, and the same on the other side. So let's do another set of linear dimensions down the side now. Right click, repeat dim linear. We'll do the thickness of the plate. So endpoint to endpoint, and just drag that out slightly like that, and left click. Now you'll notice the 15 has gone to the left hand side, if you're looking at that the right way around. And that's purely because I've selected basically one point to another point. Let's do that again. Right click, repeat dim linear. Let's go the other way, top to bottom. And can you see that? It's lining in. I'll get the endpoint there like so. So they're both 15 each. And that's because I've gone top to bottom endpoint each time. If I'd gone the other way, bottom to top, that 15 there would be on top of that 15 there, and it wouldn't look as good. Now, I don't need to worry about this whole length along the side view, because what I will probably do, and let's do it now while we've got the time, is I'd probably do right click, repeat dim linear, and I'd go endpoint to endpoint and just drag that upwards like so. There's our overall length of our metal plate. Now I'm just going to place a couple more dimensions now. I'm going to do a radius on, let's say, one of our circles here. So there's a radius there, radius 30. And if you want to zoom in a bit, it's always a good idea just so you can see what you're doing. So I'll do another radius now off of the slotted hole there. There's a radius 25. You could do a linear on that slotted hole, going from the center line endpoint like that. Get the endpoint snap, drag upwards a little bit, and there's a 200 there, for example. Now, obviously, I'll let you go off and play around with these dimensions. Make sure you investigate each of the dimension types and see what they do. Now, because we've set that annotation scale down here at 1 to 2, that should mean that our dimensions will appear in our viewports. So if I go to the Plan View Layout tab, there's our dimensions there. The problem we do have is our overall dimension, we can't see it. So we click on the viewport, click on the grip. We can go up and above our text if we need to, like that, and click. And there's our 500. Just be aware that that text is not in the viewport. It's on top of the viewport in the Layout tab. Hit Escape a couple of times to deselect the viewport. Let's have a look at the sections and elevations. They're all displaying nicely as well. Now, I'm going to show you one more little thing here. I'm going to go back to the Model tab. And what I'll do now is I'm going to select this radius 25 here. And I'm going to right-click and go to Properties on the shortcut menu. And you'll notice it's got an annotative scale of 1 to 2. If I click there and click on this little box here and add a scale of 1 to 1 and delete the scale of 1 to 2 and OK that, notice it changes in size in the model space. I'll close the Properties palette, hit Escape a couple of times to deselect that dimension. If I now go to the Plan View, notice it's disappeared because it's not using the right annotation scale. So if I go back to Model now, select it again, right click, I can use this method here, Annotative Object Scale, Add Delete Scales. I'll add the 1 to 2 again, and I'll delete the 1 to 1. Notice it gets bigger, goes back to its normal size again. When I go back to the Plan View, it appears again. So as long as you've got the right annotation scale in the model space, when you're placing your dimensions, and that tallies up with your viewport scale in your Layout tab, those annotative dimensions will display when they're using an annotative dimension style.